TikTok stuff. But guys, I like the low lights. I don't have these studio lights blaring in my face and my eyes doing the TV news, and this is much more comfortable. So I'm liking it. Giving everybody a chance to get in. Guys, let me know on the audio. I have not used this system. I've been using an iPad, something simple. So I thought I would graduate tonight. Let me know if you guys can hear me. If you guys can hear me, give me a thumbs up or something to make sure. A little bit of reverb. Okay, we'll turn that down. So just wanted to do a little bit different tonight, guys, and get away from the TV news and all that madness, and give you my full attention. I know that a lot of times I'll go live at 8 o'clock and I'm doing the news at 8:25 or 8:30, and it's very unfair for you guys, but it's kind of cool to watch kind of the behind the scenes, if you will. Somebody says it's muffled. That should have cleared that muffle noise up. Is that better? Sounds shaky. Guys, if you want to go back to the iPad, I can switch it over. So I'm getting thumbs up and thumbs down. If you guys want me to change. Yeah, I did miss you guys. Coming up here in a few minutes, we're going to be joined by a career homicide investigator, detective. And I'll go over that in just a minute. Let's give, I came on a little bit early. It's just now 8 p.m. Can we give it just a second and let a few more people come into the, I like to call it the theater, right? So grab your snack. I wasn't coming on live tonight. I surprised you guys. All right, somebody says we're underwater. Let me call my lady and see. Hey, can you hear the audio? Wonder why. Okay, let me try that. Is that any better? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. You guys, I promise I'll get it adjusted. Maybe I was talking and had it up a little bit too loud. I think I need to talk a little bit softer. Okay, so everybody says it sounds good. All right. All right, I stole a piece of Fox News equipment, so I don't know how to use it, but I'm trying. All right, thank you. Bye. All right, guys, I just want to make sure that you guys can hear without any obstacles and yada, yada, yada. So I think I had the sound up too high. Coming up here in just a few minutes, I'm going to bring on Rick Lamont. If you're in the Discord chat, I covered a little bit about Rick's pedigree and his resume as to where he's come from. Rick and I have been friends for probably 35 years. Rick's the type of guy that if I committed a crime, I wouldn't want him after me because he's very good at detecting, right? So I'm going to bring him up live on the phone here in just a moment. Guys, the chat on Discord is absolutely on fire. If you're not in that chat, I would highly suggest you guys get in there. There's some amazing ideas. Good night, man. People are going down the rabbit hole on some social media stuff, court documents, property documents, you name it. These people, you guys are all on fire. So we'll repost that link tonight on the chat while we're live. And then it's obviously in my bio for Discord. So if you don't have it, grab it. It's worth the time to download the app. It's totally free, and it's just a way to connect the family off of the live. So I'm waiting on Rick to call me, guys. So stand by. Oh, that's Rick. Give me 3. All right, that was Rick. He's getting in a position. I think he's traveling. So want to be respectful of his time and be on time to call him, but he's getting ready to come on. So I'm going to call him on the phone in a moment. We're going to put him on speaker. I want to cover this case. Rick and I really have not spoken about this case. Today is the first time I've reached out to him and said, hey, by the way, I want to hear from you. So that's what prompted getting Rick Lallman on here. If you're just joining, going to be joined by Rick Lallman, a career homicide detective investigator. Rick brings decades of experience from policing and law enforcement. He's worked a lot of these cases. He's worked a lot of these whodunit cases and solved them. More importantly, after Rick left law enforcement, he went to work for the state of Florida, where he was a chief investigator over the southeast section of Florida, handling all of those cases from the government level. So that brings a lot to the table, guys. I'm going to kind of leave the box like it is. I think Dewey's in here somewhere. Dewey may pop in here in a minute. She may have already popped in. I don't know how to work the computer, but I'm going to learn, guys. So this is my first night. Give me a little bit of grace. So without further ado, let me connect with Mr. Rick and bring him on. Guys, you're going to love him. He's you're going to love Rick.
What's up, Jamie?
Let me tell you something, man. I've been talking you up, so here we go.
Oh, what are we doing?
Hey, you're live on the broadcast,
Okay.
and I want to pick your brain. And you and I really haven't spoke about this case,
Okay.
but I kind of want to get Rick Lamont's 30,000-foot view into the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping. I just gave you a huge intro, Rick, and I know you're not going to let us down. You can bring the fire. Let me make sure everybody can hear you. Can you give me a test count to make sure everybody can hear?
1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I think you're good to go. So, guys, introducing, I call him. Look, Rick, I told the audience here just a moment ago, the fans and the family, if I committed a crime, I wouldn't want you investigating it, because you're going to find me and you're going to track me down and you're going to prove it. Just a short bio, Rick. Introduce yourself, please, and let everybody know who you are, and we'll get cranking.
Rick Lallman. I spent around a little over 29 years total with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Retired, and then I ended up going to the state of Florida with the JAC and was an investigator, actually supervisor of investigations in Southwest Florida over a team of investigators we had down there in the Bradenton, Sarasota area. Now I'm fully retired. I'm a licensed private investigator, and I'm just living life.
Living the life, baby. So,
living the life.
Lallman, tell me something. Is this case, I mean, I'm looking at this thing. I didn't work homicide. I worked a little bit of other stuff, but I never worked the homicide division. Am I wrong, Rick, saying that this is becoming a circus?
Yeah. And everybody, I've got friends that are, some of the guys that you see on Fox News and the other national media that are the guys that are there asking about this case, and we're talking back and forth amongst each other on how they kind of dropped the ball initially compared to how we would have worked that case on our side.
Let's start from the beginning. It's who, what, when, where, and why, right?
Correct.
Let's start at that initial call. I mean, they received a call from a family. She didn't show up for church. It's kind of unclear, did she go to church or was she doing church online? We really don't know the truth about that, the correct answer. Anyhow, Rick Lallman arrives at that crime scene, and I'm assuming you would call out. Go ahead.
Let's back up. I mean, patrol is going to arrive on the scene first, and they're going to look around and they're going to see stuff that leads them to believe that something is afoot, and they're going to contact us, major case homicide, or missing persons, however they work it in Pima County, and then an investigator is going to get there on the scene, and then they're going to start looking. We're going to identify, okay, who's been in the house. We're going to immediately get a list of personnel that have been in that house. We're going to limit it to one access point. We're going to block off the scene and make the scene larger than you would want to, because you can always make it smaller, but set up a command post. When the media shows up, the media shouldn't be standing in front of the house. They should be, half a mile away at a predisposed media center. Once you figure out you've got relatively a person that is related to a famous person, you want to control that crime scene as much as possible and limit access to only those that need to be in there. I think one of the telltale signs that I noticed that they've shown once they released the scene and allowed the media in there was, you've got a significant amount of blood at the front door. And one of the things that concerns me is one of the blood spots I saw is aspirated, which that's a problem for me.
Explain what that is and explain that process, Rick.
It's like an aerosol. If you look at the blood drops that they've shown on TV continuously, there's some, that are slow dripped blood. And then you have blood that looks like it's got aerosol around it. That means that she had an issue there. Once you realize all the medical issues that were going on with her, which as soon as you get there, you're going to find that out, especially with the family, if they're contacting you. You've got that there, and that should cause a huge problem. Now, one of the things that I haven't heard, I think till later, was they brought in a dog, and that was 3 or 4 days after the fact. I would hold the scene and go, I need a dog here now to track, and I preferably like a bloodhound more so than a shepherd or a Malinois. Rick,
let me jump in for a minute. Just to let you know, the fans heard this. We had actually Jeff Brown on the show, and right. Jeff is like the bloodhound king, right? So Jeff came in and explained the process of the bloodhound, the difference between a bloodhound and perhaps a cadaver dog or a drug dog or whatever it would be. So you would have called that bloodhound immediately if it was available to you, right?
Exactly. A bloodhound will track till the dog dies. It will continuously track. If they put her in a car and drove off with her in a car, the dog's going to track. It's going to track till it has no pads left on its paws.
So let's get to the initial crime scene. And Rick, correct me if I'm wrong. You're the homicide guru, man. I'm only the guy talking to you. In my opinion, we have two crime scenes because that crime scene was secured, well, purportedly, air quotes, secured by the Pima County Sheriff's Office. And then, tech service or crime scene techs came in and did what they did. And then they released it. It's my understanding once FBI got back on the ground, they reclaimed that house as a crime scene. So in my opinion, we have two crime scenes. But what should the sheriff have done from Jump Street once you guys determined she was missing? You don't know if she walked away. You don't know if she was kidnapped unless something's inside the house would signal that. Where do you start, Rick, at putting this case together?
Well, you start with your victimology. And victimology is the most important aspect in any crime scene, especially a homicide scene. You'd learn everything you can about the victim and who her or his immediate circle of people are, whether it's family, friends, medical staff, people that do home, work on the house, landscapers, all that. You identify who all those people are. Then you start your interview process to see when is the last time that, proof of life. When's the last time that she was known to be alive or known to be at the house? And then you work outward from that. It's one of the big things with this case is investigators have to not be afraid to ask for help. If there's something, I've done it many times, if there was something outside the scope of my intelligence factor, I reached out to the experts that had the intelligence, whether it be the FBI, the Secret Service, DEA. You know as well as I do, when you were playing with DEA, I would reach out to you guys.
Sure.
It's just a matter. A homicide detective manages the crime scene, and it's not a one-man operation. It's a team operation. So you assemble the right team. You make sure your forensics people are on the right right idea of what you want done, and you just work it from that point on.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, Ricky. What do you
Yeah,
see
go
the
ahead.
strong parts in this investigation, and what can you call out the weak parts of this case so far that you've seen, based on your decades of experience?
The sheriff has given out too much information.
Giving out too much information.
He's given out way too much information. When you immediately start saying that we've cleared the family, we've cleared this, we've cleared that, nobody's cleared until you apprehend a suspect. Until you have a suspect in cuffs, you can't take anyone and just eliminate them. You can look at them and go, okay, well, I'm not as strong on this person, but I still need to keep them. I mean, I've had it happen to me many a times. People that we thought were probably innocent, didn't have any involvement, turned around to be the actual perpetrator of the crime. And sometimes the people that want to talk to you the most and be as most pleasant with you as possible are the ones that you really need to focus on, because they're trying to get you to not focus on them, if that makes sense.
Let me ask you this, and I don't want you to give any tradecraft away or secrets, but I have this question. And Ricky, I can't give you the dates, but the Sheriff Nanos, came out and said that they have really no evidence, blah, blah, blah. They're looking at everyone as suspects. And it was asked by Fox Digital, are you looking at family, friends, service workers, etc.? He's like, everyone's on the table, essentially. The following day, he came out and cleared the family members.
You can't do that.
I'm confused, Rick. What the heck is he trying to say?
He is. I think he's starstruck at this point. This is a case where he's got national attention, and instead of taking your trained public information officer or your commander of your CID unit and letting them talk, because there's no way, and you know as well as I do, having seen the cases I worked, we didn't give out any information. We gave out just a little bit of information, just enough to keep the media happy, but you don't immediately start saying, well, this person is not a suspect, that person's not a suspect. You say we have there's several people that we're looking at.
Do you think, Rick, politely interrupt you, do you think Sheriff Nanos may have perhaps came out and said the family's been cleared, to maybe take the heat off the family and take one for the team, if you will? But is it possible they're continuing to look at the family? And let me ask you a second question. Either way, the sheriff is talking way too much. If you were the lead homicide investigator, would you not be knocking on the sheriff's door and telling him to shut up and, like, guys, stay in your lane?
Yeah, I know. If you've got any investigators over there that have been doing this for a while, they've got to be beating their heads against the wall going, oh, Sheriff, why did you say that? Oh, man, why would you say that? Why are you messing our case up? Because at this point, you got to think, as a homicide detective, we got one shot at this. You have one shot at the case to actually arrest somebody and get them into court. And what he's doing, in my opinion, is he's building one heck of a case for the defense. Because he's saying, well, okay, well, Sheriff, they're going to have to end up calling him on the stand and go, okay, Sheriff, say, God forbid, one of the daughters had something to do with it, or one of their husbands had something to do with it. Well, Sheriff, explain to the jury why you said that they weren't guilty, and now you've got one in custody. I mean, they're building a heck of a defense case to where there's going to have so much information that the defense is going to be able to use against them, let alone that they let the scene go too long. I mean, I've held scenes for 2 weeks until I was sure that I had every bit of evidence I could possibly get out of that place. It's just phenomenal. I mean, I sit here and I watch it on TV, and I cringe every time I hear this guy talk. And my friends that I talk to that are on TV doing some of this stuff, they say the same thing too. They're just like, oh, anytime I mentioned one of the guys, I said, hey, you're just on, you need to mention this. And he goes, I think I've beaten the sheriff up enough. I'm afraid to say anything else, or I won't
Right.
be able to interview him again.
And hold 1 second, Rick. Guys, if you're just joining, on the phone live is Rick Lallemand, a career, and I'm telling you, when I say career, I'm talking decades experience in law enforcement. He's worked these homicides. He's worked in excess of 300 homicides in his career, solved a lot of them. Saw him work firsthand, guys. He's the real deal. I would like to give him the name Columbo. The guy, he's good. Rick, I want to change just a moment. So we know that Annie Guthrie, her home
Right.
has been searched, and let's be fair about this. I can't find any reporting, and I've done a lot of news interviews on this thing and hits over the past 2 weeks. There's nothing that says law enforcement obtained a search warrant for Annie Guthrie's home, so it was consensual,
Right.
meaning they allowed the police to come in. Rick, they've been there 5 times. Does that make sense to you?
No.
What could possibly, why would a homicide investigation take you back to a house in question? Now, we're not pointing fingers. We're not saying anyone's guilty here, but it's a fact. They have been there 5 times. Once again, going back to Fox Digital, they reported that luminol perhaps was sprayed in that garage. A lot of photographs were taken. Rick, bring us up to speed. What's going on with that house? Why the interest? Why the several trips? And why don't they just block it off as a crime scene?
Well, that's a question of the agents. I mean, that house should still be secured, and nobody should be going near it. I mean, I saw one news blurb the other day. They had a pool guy out there cleaning the pool. I'm like, okay,
Rick, they had a pizza delivery.
all right. That was for some I think some podcast guys that were investigators out there doing the thing, and they ordered pizza. This last I heard. It's just boggles the mind that in this day and age that you have 2 agencies. I mean, and initially this case, as big as it was and the problems it was with a potential kidnapping, why they didn't say, we need the FBI involved in this immediately, and we need to lock this place down and don't do anything else until the FBI gets here, and let's make sure that we're all in lockstep in what we're doing with this crime scene. Because at this point, they've taken the crime scene and they have introduced so much more evidence into this crime scene every time they go in it. If they're looking for DNA, I mean, unless they're going in spacesuits to protect themselves or protect the scene, you're shedding DNA with every person that walks in that place.
Which, once again, going back to your earlier statements, law enforcement's building an incredible case for the defense.
Correct. I mean, if they ever get a suspect in custody, I think they're going to have a real, if there's somebody, a first-year defense attorney can probably pick this apart with how unsecure this scene has been and the ability for anybody to introduce physical evidence into that house at any time. I mean, after they released it, how many media people did you have tramping around the property?
Rick, let me stop you for a minute. How many crime scenes, and look, I haven't been around as long as you have, Rick Lallemand, but I've been around. I've worked my share of crime scenes when I was in uniform patrol. Rick Lallemand, how many crime scenes have you been to where you allow the media to get that close to take a picture of the front patio?
Counting, let's see. I'm going to say 0.
0.
Zero.
Tell us why they're going back to this, the sister's house, Annie Guthrie's house. They're back 5 times, as we know. Rick, what the heck is going on over at her house? What are you gleaming from this? What do you see?
Well, when they didn't do their victimology on Annie in the first place, they go out and then they go out and do interviews, and then they interview a person, and a person says, "Oh, well, I was in that house 3 days ago, and I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth." Okay, so they go back to the forensic people. Hey, did you collect any toothbrushes from the bathroom? No, we didn't collect any toothbrushes. Okay, now we got to go back in and collect toothbrushes. Then you get another, okay, well, I was over there a week ago and I had a solo cup of iced tea and I left that in the garbage. Okay, well, now we got to go collect the garbage. So now they go back in the house. Instead of locking that place down and saying, okay, this place, nobody comes in this place until we find Annie, they've contaminated the crime scene every time they walk into it.
So what do you make, Rick? I'm going to interrupt you really quick, politely. What do you make of the fifth trip? And it's been widely reported they processed that garage with luminol. There were some black lights that were seen. That the lights were dim. They could see the black lights from the outside. They saw the flash of the cameras. What are they doing luminol in the garage? Why? It's 5 trips later, Lamont.
Well, they're luminol in the garage to see if there's any because luminol is going to produce human biologics. And for those that don't know what luminol is, you spray. It's a fine mist. If there's blood or there's any that you can't see with the naked eye, you put the luminol in there, and then it reacts with the bodily fluids of a human being and turns a magenta color. So if they went in there and they shot some luminol and say there's invisible sweat or some form of DNA in there, they can identify that and photograph it. Or in my experience, a couple cases, we've sprayed luminol in a bathroom, and I've had forensics take out the entire shower wall because I wanted that in the P traps in the sinks and everything, because there's bad guy went in there and decided to take his gloves off and then beats her up and decides to wash his hands before, then the P traps in the sinks are phenomenal for DNA. If there's a sink in that garage and he cleaned up in that garage in the laundry sink, that's spray the luminol in there, see if you get any washing the blood off of him before they towed her out of the house.
Hold on, Ricky. I've got to tell you what, the chat's on fire. You can't see this. The chat is blowing up. Look, they want to put you on a flight and send you to Arizona, number one. They want you to go out and work the case. That's in the chat. Listen, they're saying this is the best guest that you've ever had on. And guys, I told you, we're going to bring the A game. I'm bringing the people that you can count on. And I'm telling you, if Ricky says, get out your umbrella, it's going to rain, because he knows what he's talking about. So, Rick, I can't thank you enough for giving your time. Thank you so far.
I appreciate it. No problem.
So far, you're getting an A+.
Oh, thanks. I mean, homicide cases aren't that hard to work. It's just, if you're going to work them, you got to follow A, B, C, D, and E all the way through to Z, and there's a certain way to do it. And it's get the right people there and follow the leads. I mean, I could scream and yell about, one of the things that upset me the most hearing about this was when they went out and did searches around the property and they found the mystery gloves, but then they found 17 others that were discarded by searchers. I'm like, okay, who ran that search operation and said, I recall, going on cases with deputies in Orlando and telling them, like, look, if you feel like you got to touch something, go ahead and put your hands in your pockets and don't touch anything, and just call me to come look at it, and then we'll have forensics come collect it correctly. But somebody didn't tell them, all right, if you're going to discard gloves, here's a bag to take with you to put those gloves in, because we don't want to introduce any foreign elements into what we're saying is a protected crime scene. That's another thing that the defense is going to have a fit with. Wait a minute, you got 17 gloves of law enforcement searchers laying out there, and nobody collected them so that they didn't contaminate that scene? Really?
And here's the horrific part, Rick, is and you and I have talked about this in the past on other cases. You have social media. I love social media, right? It's a great thing if it's used right, but man, you have AI, you have conspiracy theorists. But Rick, people are trying to explain it away. Well, it could be burglars, or it could be homeless people. Rick, you've been a cop a very long time. I've never seen a homeless guy wear those type of gloves, number one.
No.
Number two, if you're a burglar, you're not going to discard 16 gloves
Right.
There are not that many burglaries in the area. So, that's the fault of this stuff. If the cops would maintain and hold their crime scene properly, we wouldn't have these rampant conspiracy theories and these wacky ideas.
Well, one of the things that I was thinking about it the other day. I mean, one of the things that I would do is and I don't know if they're doing it, and it's kind of hard. I hate to armchair quarterback these guys when I'm not on the ground and I don't know what they're doing. So, but when you look at it and you don't hear any positive responses on what they're doing, but somebody knows who this guy is. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, I would have a team of investigators sitting down at the Pima County Jail, interviewing inmates and interviewing those being recently arrested with the pictures of this guy so far, and go, who's this guy, as people come in and people that are already in jail. Who's the guy that that likes to wear a mask like this, wears these gloves, carries this kind of backpack, and dresses like this and walks like it? Then I'd have to do the same thing, because they're saying she's gone to Mexico. Well, I'd be over at the detention facility with the same thing in Pima County. All right, all you new detention people, who's this guy? Who's he look like to you? Where's he hang out at? There's too many avenues on a case like this, and it's too big of a case because there's so much media attention to it. All because of Savannah Guthrie, because this wouldn't be a big deal if she didn't have a daughter that worked for NBC News. But I would be. There's so many things you can do with this case. It's unbelievable.
So let me ask you a question, and I want to get to your theory on this, Ricky. Let me ask you straight up. Put you on a plane tomorrow. Kash Patel calls Rick Lallemand. Rick, need you as a head investigator in Tucson on the Nancy Guthrie case. Rick, what would you do on the ground? Once you're on the ground, hit the ground running, what are the first two things you're going to do?
I want to see what everybody else has done so far, what avenues they've done, what evidence they've collected. I want to see the list, the contamination sheet of who's been in that house, why they've been in it. And everybody that's in there is going to have to give me standards now.
DNA standards.
Everybody that's been in that house, I've got to have their DNA standards so I can eliminate them from a potential suspect. Done that many times.
So where do you go from there to solve this case?
Start with your victimology. How much victimology have you done? You have to go back and now you got to re-interview everybody that's been interviewed. I mean, early on, I heard today, I guess they're doing some polygraphs or voice stress analysis tests. I mean, that should have been done on day 2. I mean, it's like, okay, we're not here to say that you're a bad guy, but I need to know what you know about this case.
So, I mean, if you were there, you're going to polygraph the family, friends, associates, workers, etc., right?
Everybody.
Immediately.
Everybody that's close to her.
Yeah. What do you make of these ransom letters, Rick? They're asking.
Well, one of the big things with the ransom letter is nobody showed a proof of life. You're getting ransom letters, but I mean, you watch TV, any other case, they're going to show a video. Go, okay, I'm legit. I have your loved one, and here's a picture of them, and here's a picture of today's newspaper to prove that this is not an AI thing. Something that will lead you to believe that she's still alive. Unfortunately, I don't think she is.
I agree. I agree with you.
And if you go back to the Casey Anthony case, I think she's close to that house because, she's probably within a 4 or 5 square mile area of where she lived, is where they got rid of her. Now they're just trying to get money. And you don't really know if this is legit or not. I mean, and there's ways to track these people through their emails to figure out what the IP address is, where the email's coming from.
Here's another question for you. Let's go to this mystery glove. Rick, and I know what your answer I think is going to be, but what's your opinion on that? The sheriff had that independent lab in the state of Florida. That's been a contract for over 10 years. He's been the sheriff for a very long time. They've used that lab successfully in the past. Got to give them credit where credit's due. But Rick,
yeah, we do too. We've used them.
You've used the private labs before. But Rick, we have America's grandmother missing. Time is of the essence. Where would you have sent that glove?
I'd let the FBI take it. because I'm going to get the stuff immediately. I mean, any evidence that I've got right there that I need an immediate response on, I'm not packaging it up and sending it, across the country, whether it's, airmail or what, I'm sending it to the FBI because they've got a state-of-the-art lab, and I'm going to get my results from the FBI, because when I go to the stand, I think they have one glove they sent to the FBI and one glove they sent to this lab. So now I'm just putting more people on the witness list to be grilled by the defense attorney, and then have to fight about how their standards are and how clean they keep their lab, and how, what's the rate of contamination in their lab and all that stuff. Let's just keep it with one group. That's what you want to do with all your evidence. I mean, it was like us, our evidence, if FDLE wasn't available to do the DNA, then we went to the private lab. But all the evidence that we were looking for DNA on that evidence all went to the private lab, or it all went to FDLE, because then you've got one technician from FDLE or two technicians from FDLE on your witness list. That makes sense.
At this point, I mean, you're going to have a witness list that's probably 40 pages long. I mean, look at everything that's transpired up to this.
It look like the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Let me ask you, Rick, $100,000 question. $6 million question.
Yeah.
What's your theory if you have one?
I think there's probably somebody close in that circle to her that thought that she is maybe more wealthy than she is, and put somebody up to it. And I think it's going to be within her circle of contacts, whether it's, the landscaper's cousin's brother, or, somebody within the family, but it's somebody close to her. Because if you think about the crime stats in that neighborhood, nobody else had any issues. They went straight to her house. And the person that did it is not a rocket scientist. I mean, you can see that on the videos. He's not a rocket scientist.
Let me stop you. Talk about that. Let's flush that out. I mean, the guy looked like he was a buffoon to me. He walks up confused, obviously not well planned. What's your make of the bad guy that we see in that video?
I think he's an opportunist. That somebody said, hey, there's something in that house that you can get. And maybe they went in there and realized that it's not there. She may have awakened and put up somewhat of a fight, and it broke bad, and she got hurt, injured, or worse. And to protect themselves, so that there wasn't any, obviously their DNA would be on the body. She may have ripped his mask off and knows exactly who he is. And that's why she's, was removed from the scene.
I think, Rick, are you agreeing with me? I mean, or am I agreeing with you? You're the star here. I mean, I think she was unalived in that house. She did not leave that house, in my opinion, alive.
Well, that's what I think too, since early on. I think when I brought up the aspirated blood, that's usually a sign of death or dying. And that concerned me. As soon as I saw the aspirated blood, that's the first thing I thought of. I said, she is either dead or dying at that time, because that was something that you normally see on a person that's dead or dying.
Can you go into that just a little bit, Rick, so that people will understand what you're talking about?
Well, if she's picked up and then she still had air in her lungs, and her heart, even though she's got a pacemaker, if the heart's, in ventricular fibrillation, which the pacemaker should fix that. But if she's in a state, and they picked her up and say a fireman's carry to hoist her out, and whatever lung air she still had in her lungs, as they heaved her over the shoulders, aspirated down onto the ground. I mean, that's just my opinion from looking at scenes over the years.
But hold on, let me flush that out. I mean, you're basing this on what? Experience, training? You've seen this hundreds of times?
And I've looked at blood splatter. I mean, I've looked at, scenes. I've been certified and all this stuff, and aspirated blood just is not something. You could probably say, okay, well, it's related to a sneeze. Well, okay, but if she's being carried out in a fireman's carry or however she was carried out, that blood came out of her lungs somehow.
Yeah, that's horrible, but that's I think you're the guy, you're the guru, you're the Columbo.
Well, sadly, as soon as I saw it, it's what I told to some folks. I said, I don't think she's alive, because that's aspirated blood. And a couple of guys that I've been in contact with are on the shows. One guy in particular goes, yeah, I agree.
So what do you do with the body? Where are we at? Why, Rick? Let me ask you another question, real quick. Two-part question. I could fire questions to you until like 1 a.m. here. What do you do with the body?
They just dumped her. She's dumped. If she's deceased, I'd be looking. Here's the bad parts. You got a lot of animal activity in that area. Coyotes, vultures, and if they find her, if she is deceased, she's going to be spread out over a square mile.
Just from the animal activity?
Just from the animal activity. And sadly, it's probably going to be somebody just out walking their dog in the desert that just walks upon and starts seeing a trail of remains. And
that happens frequently, right?
Yeah, it happened to us.
Yeah, it happened to us. That's right. We worked the case. You guys. Let me ask you another question real quick before we move on. Let's go back to the guy on the video. I'm going to call him the creepy buffoon.
Right.
Rick, was the backpack full, or was that an optical illusion from that low light camera?
No, I think it's got some stuff in it. It may have led he may have came prepared with equipment to maybe break into a safe or something. But he definitely had stuff in that backpack.
So
that's another easy thing to track down. It's like, Walmart's the only one that sells it. All you got to do is, get the SKU number for that particular backpack and run the SKU number and see how many have been sold. And if you can limit it to the last 12 months, how many have been sold in that area in the last 12 months, and then start looking at video. Because every transaction you do, whether you're a thief or not, Walmart's got video of it. They got great video.
And Rick, real quick, I want to flush that out with you for just a moment. A lot of viewers and listeners are maybe they don't realize that they actually go and watch grueling hours and hours and hours, am I correct, of videos until you disprove or you find the clue or you find the person. So it's hours. It's not just go in and, hey, give me the video for this date. You have to what?
You got to set a team down and go, this is what I'm looking for. Find me somebody that bought this backpack that's in the 5'9" to 5'10" range. For me, he looks like he looks Latin to me from what I can see, with the eyes and the mustache and the little chin beard and so forth.
Rick, if you start hearing things shatter and bounce and shake, we're about 4 miles from the launch. They're just launching a rocket. Cool. It's like the walls are about to fall in around me. So if you hear that, it's a rocket going up.
No problem.
So you don't think the guy's a professional. We think he was there potentially to do a burglary. That's been reported, right? $100,000 question, Rick. Why didn't just leave her in the house? If you're going to go in to do a burglary, she is awakened. She wakes up from the noise, what have you, but you end up in this tussle. In my opinion, I don't think it was an intentional unaliving. I think it occurred after she discovered they were in the house, and it was perhaps they hit her too hard, they pushed her too hard, inadvertently. I think they unalived her there. Why not leave her in the house and just leave and flee?
Because there's evidence there. I mean, she may have, like I said early on, she may in fighting, for her life, if that's the case, just demasked this guy and then recognized him. So now she can't be left there in any stage if she's, hanging on to life, still alive. She can identify her attacker pretty easily. So if you can be identified, you take that person and discard them wherever.
A lot of people's in the chat, they're asking, or they're kind of a theory, Rick, that maybe perhaps someone went in and did the burglary. This occurred, and this guy came back and basically was going to clean up the mess. Is that even remotely possible in your orbit?
Nah, bad guys don't usually do that. I've only had one guy do that in the past, and he was a maintenance man in an apartment complex, and he killed one of the apartment girls that lived in the apartment complex, and he had packaged her up with the plans of coming back and discarding her later. When you think about Mrs. Guthrie, she had contact with people every day. She had contacts with family. She had contacts with friends, namely, I guess, to go to church at times. We don't know how often she went to church. I don't know if it was just a weekend thing or if she was like Catholic and went to mass on Wednesdays or whatever.
If I was Catholic, I would only go like if I had a drink or something, Rick.
I hear you. But I think she knows who the bad guy is. I think she recognized the person if she demasked him, or he said something and she recognized the voice, and he had to do something to eliminate her from pointing the finger at him. Now, based on her medical condition, I think she has COPD, and she's on a pacemaker, she's on blood thinners, and she's 84 years old. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to grievously injure an elderly person. I mean, we've all seen it. They can just slip and fall and die. But now, maybe she's in a comatose state, and he thinks she's dead, and he has to go get rid of her, and drops her off somewhere where he knows that she's not going to be able to get away.
Here's another burning question that everyone's asking, Rick. Let's fast forward to the last search warrant. I don't want to talk about the first search warrant because I think that was a clown act.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Range Rover. We know that they conducted and executed a search warrant. They ended up finding this Range Rover. Took a few photographs at the scene, taped it up with crime scene tape, and impounded it, which I thought was very smart. I was surprised they did that. I'm sure that was the FBI.
I was going to say the FBI was probably behind that.
It wasn't the Pima County guys. Well, it wasn't the sheriff.
Well,
sheriff...
I don't want to sell the Pima County guys short, because it sounds like, and we've all been there, where you've got bosses telling you what to do, and you're scratching your head going, why are they telling me to do this?
See, guys, common sense. He took up for his guys, the detectives, right? They're being told what to do by either the sheriff or leadership. So possibly.
Right.
But Rick, how did we get, I mean, we don't know how they obtained that search warrant. I don't know. This is something I have done. I've authored a bunch of search warrants. I've had some search warrants denied.
They're not easy. They're not easy. You got to have a significant amount of probable cause for a judge to look at it and sign off and say, go forward, guys. Good luck.
What do you think they were looking for, Rick? I mean, we know that Range Rover was of some type of importance. They impounded it. I mean, can you give us a little insight in what you think?
Well, obviously somebody may have seen that Range Rover in the neighborhood in the past and can't particularly place it with anybody, or they've seen it out by her house at some point. I mean, that would be the only thing I would think of, is like, okay, this Range Rover has been here 3 or 4 times.
But hold on, Rick. I don't know what you drive. I know that you have sports cars and these muscle cars, but hey, look, they were a burglary right down my street today. I think I saw
Yeah.
Rick Lamont in that Chevelle riding. That's not enough for probable cause.
No, it's not. They could have had a video of it on one, at the time of her disappearance on a camera speeding through the area. On these red light cameras, maybe they could see two people in the car, and one of them was elderly. There's it's going to take a lot to get that search warrant on a vehicle just on a hunch. I mean, you got to have some kind of reasonable, probable cause to stop the vehicle in the first place, and then secondly, violate somebody's Fourth Amendment and search it without a search warrant.
Do you think there's a there? Or is it just another? I'm not going to call it a fishing expedition. I mean, they had probable cause to get a judge to sign off, so it's something they had. But do you think this is going to play out?
If it's like the rest of them, I mean, they've had a number of vehicles where they have gotten search warrants for these vehicles, and I don't know. Again, I'm not on the ground, so I don't know what they have, but I just know from experience, if you're getting a search warrant for a house, a car, a business, anything like that, and you know as well as I do, you got to have some sufficient probable cause to get that warrant or get a judge to agree with you that you need a warrant to go into it. Now, they haven't said anything about the people that were driving the car. They just got the search warrant for the Range Rover. And that Range Rover may be attached to the family. That may have been the vehicle that she was dropped off at the house at, and they're looking to see if there's any, if it's got a black interior and she's bleeding and she's laying in the back of the truck, you're not going to be able to see that unless you came in there with a cadaver dog and the dog hit on it as having blood pathogens in there. Then you could say, well, we had our certified cadaver canine hit on this for remains, and now we need a search warrant to search that vehicle to see if her DNA appears in the back trunk. So then you got to explain, whoever was driving that vehicle, okay, well, how did Mrs. Guthrie's DNA and how did her blood, because you're going to spray some luminol in there, and then you're going to do a full sweep of the vehicle to look for blood. And then if it seeps through, you're going to pull the carpet out and see if the blood seeped through to the metal.
Let me ask you another question on that Range Rover, and I'll move on to the final part because I'm dying to ask you the final part of this thing.
Okay.
This Range Rover, I was on Fox News Live covering that. I actually think I broke that before any other media companies. We had a local Phoenix station from Fox covering that, and they were showing this Range Rover with a couple cops standing by it. No one was paying it attention. And I'm like, wait a minute, back that up. Let me see it again. And I'm like, I think they're looking at the Range Rover. And sure enough, Rick, 3 minutes later, they started coming out of the cars taking pictures. So we kind of broke that on Fox. They were a white tarp, a tent at that
Right.
Range Rover. What's going on there, Rick?
Why they tarped it?
Yeah, at the scene.
Because you want to protect any of it. If it was going to start raining or something like that, you don't want any of that evidence to be washed away. So you're gonna tarp it. I mean, I've done that too. You tarp it to protect whatever evidence is either on the outside of it. There may be a smear out there, a blood smear on that car that somebody saw on the exterior of the body. I mean, I've seen some of our smarter thuglets in Orlando, put dead bodies in trunks and then take them off and show them to their friends. There could be a blood smear on that vehicle that they didn't clean up, or as you're looking at the vehicle, the back hatch, there's between the bumper and the back hatch, there's how did that blood splatter get there? Bad guy might not have seen it, but an observant traffic cop may look at it and go, what, that looks like a blood spot. Motormen are great for that stuff, pulling up behind cars and seeing blood on the back of a car and then stopping the car.
So, Rick, let me one more thing on the Range Rover. I've got to ask you. I mean, executed a lot of warrants. I've authored a lot of search warrants. You've written thousands of warrants in your career, right?
Oh yeah.
In the federal system, if I was working something in the federal system, those warrants would be sometimes held back or not released to the clerk's office to where it become public because
Correct.
of pending investigation or you're looking for other bad guys. This case, dealing with the Range Rover and that search of that last house, is under seal. What do you read into that?
Then they got something. If it's under seal or something, I mean, I routinely did that in our cases. If we still had a suspect at large and we didn't want, obviously the media getting to it and then reading everything out as to the way our investigation was going and who we were potentially looking at. But that's a good sign. If they've sealed, I wish they'd seal a lot more. But if they've sealed that warrant, then they may have something that's important, which good for them. That'd be great.
Yeah, and it's my understanding now. This is coming from Fox Digital. According to Fox Digital, that was a federal search warrant. So FBI would have probably obtained that warrant from a federal magistrate. Am I correct?
Yep. And most stuff that goes, and having done some federal work, most stuff that goes on the federal side of it gets automatically sealed anyway.
So we shouldn't read a lot into that if it's a federal warrant.
Yeah, it's a federal warrant. If it's federal, I mean, you're not. Good thing about the federal system is they keep a lot of stuff close to their chest. So by the time you get to federal court, it's basically trial by ambush. So all the bad guy and his attorney can do is take a plea, if that's allowed.
Rick, everyone in the chat, and this thing's blowing up. We hit over 1 million likes the other night, 2 nights consecutively.
Oh, nice.
So we got a lot of people here, but they're like, why is this guy not working this case? Let's get him out there.
Yeah.
Close it out, Rick. Give us a 3 minutes of your opinions. What are we looking for? What are you watching for to see? And what do you think is going to take place? Is the sheriff going to come out and stumble over himself on a microphone again, or is he going to keep his mouth shut? What are you looking for?
One of the things that I thought early on that they should do, because believe it or not, bad guys return to scenes. And it would be nice if they had somebody, and they may have somebody out there on a forensics team. I've done it before, where we have put forensics out there and said, take pictures of everybody that are coming on this scene, because we learned long ago that suspects return to scenes because they are concerned to see if anybody's getting close to them. So I would like to have seen early on, maybe. I mean, they may have done it. I mean, I'm hoping they did it. FBI might have told them, hey, you need to start photographing these people, especially some of these ones that may are, pretending to be the press and they're trying to, do whatever. But photograph everybody on the scene and make sure that their credentials are what they say they are. I would have. I've cringed since day one when I saw that the scene wasn't locked down, and that it doesn't appear that there's somebody stationed there until later with a crime scene contamination sheet. And I've had sheriffs come into signs, and it's like, okay, welcome to my scene, but you're going to sign this crime scene contamination sheet. And then they look at you and go, well, I don't really want to go in there, because they know that they're going to be called to court to testify what purpose was it for them to come into that crime scene.
And I will say, interrupt you politely, the sheriff at least has had enough common sense not to show up at the crime scene. So I think that's a great thing.
And it's sad, because I looked up his, and I encourage everybody, if you haven't, look up his resume. I mean, the guy's got 40 years of experience. And at one time, he was the captain over the CID unit and was in charge of the CID unit when they did the case with the former congresswoman who's marked, I forget what her name is, that was shot.
Yeah, Gabby Giffords.
Gabby Giffords, correct. So the bottom line is, if they've done their victimology correctly, which that's that's where you start immediately. You start with victimology. Period. That's the end. You don't go, okay. It kind of looks like Keystone Cops running around now. It has been for a while, but you got to have one or two investigators that are the leads, and the buck stops with them. That's what I always told people on the scene, and quite frankly, our former sheriff that we worked for said, "Hey, Rick's the homicide guy here, and the buck stops with him, and I'm just here to provide him with whatever he needs to get this job done to solve this case." And we were fortunate to have a sheriff like that.
By the way, I'm going to bring on Kevin Barry, I think, in the next couple of days. I want to hear from the sheriff, a retired sheriff,
Yep.
pertaining to all of this stuff. What would he have done?
And
You just said it. He's going to leave it alone.
Exactly. And I'm sure Kevin Barry is going to tell you the exact same thing. I am there to facilitate the units on the scene and provide them with whatever equipment, access, or stuff that they need to solve this case and get it done. And very rarely, there were certain times, but very rarely, did you see the sheriff, opening up the entire case. I mean, it was okay. We're working a death case. It appears, or not, we're working a death case, but we're working a missing persons case. And we have, you don't need to tell the bad guy everything that you've done on the case so that they, right now they feel empowered. Bad guy feels empowered because the sheriff is telling him, we don't know who did it. We don't have any DNA. We don't have anything. So he's, bad guy's doing the Snoopy happiness dance. It's like, they'll never find me. They're Keystone Cops.
Let me tell you something, Lamont. If when they do make an arrest, if they make an arrest, I sure hope the defense doesn't call you, because you're going to punch holes in this thing. It's going to look like confetti falling out of the sky.
Yeah. And sadly, that's the way it's going to look. But it's we always got to keep hope that she's still alive. But I what is it? 18 days, 19 days into it.
Day 19. America's grandmother. Day 19.
Day 19. There's no way, in my opinion, that based on her medical history, her age, what I saw in the blood splatters there, and she takes blood thinners, so they're trying to say, well, she was taken to Mexico. No, I don't think so. Why would you do that? I mean, you've got an hour and a half drive, and you take a chance to drive down from Tucson, Arizona, down to the border, 70 miles away, and think about, I'm going to have this potentially dead or dying old lady in the car to get her across the border, and what are my chances of, say, a trooper stopping me? It goes back to the Oklahoma bombing suspect, trying to beat feet away from Oklahoma, and the state trooper stops him, and that's how he gets caught. So there's just too many things that tell me that she's not down there. She's close to that house, and I'd be looking to where the buzzards are circling.
Last question, Rick. Value your time, man. I hope you come back on soon.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you,
we'll do it again.
The People's Crime Network love some Rick.
I thank them.
Last question. I've been asked this question 1,000 times in the past 19 days, and I'm not joking, the messages. Are there any chance, or is there a chance that, and we know the Pima County Sheriff's Office is in charge of this case, it's in their jurisdiction, is there any remote chance FBI will assume the lead role in this and take this case over, Rick?
Not unless they cross state lines. I mean, at this point, it's got to be you've got to have the sheriff of the county request either the state police, the Arizona State Police, come in and take control of it, or request that the FBI become the lead agency. And it's all politics. I mean, it's the FBI can handle all the assistance provided, but that's all they're doing at this point. They're providing assistance, and whoever the lead investigator is, and I hope he's got a whole lot, or she's got a whole lot of experience. They're sitting down and they're going, okay, what do we do next? What do we haven't done? What can we do to find her. I don't know. I would still, like Jeff said, I'd probably still have some bloodhounds out in the area and take some of her clothing or whatever, and it's like, all right, let's track. Let's find her.
All right. Next time, Rick, I want you to maybe field some questions from the people. I'm telling you, the chat's blowing up with questions. I try to cover a few of them. Guys in the chat, blow it up for Rick. Let's see those blue hearts. Let's see those blue hearts for Rick. If you liked what you heard, if you want to hear more for Rick, let me know, guys, because the guy breathes fire on everything he covers. Rick, I don't know, man.
Sure.
Thank you so much, bro. You bailed me out. Hey, real quick, you want to hear something funny, Rick?
Sure.
The girls came up with a schedule for me, and with family came up, right? This community we built is amazing with amazing bunch of people. So we all agreed the live schedule would be Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sunday. So
Right.
here's the deal, man. I surprised him tonight. We jumped in when we weren't supposed to be live, and this was like a treat and a surprise for everyone. So I can't thank you enough for doing that.
No problem. Anytime. All right. Hey, I'm at your disposal if you need anything.
The screen is full of blue hearts. We'll
Well, I'm
talk.
glad there's people that still like us.
They love you, Rick. I don't know about me, but they love some Rick. My brother, thank you so much. I owe you a lot for doing that, and I appreciate you, Rick.
No problem, Jamie. Anytime, brother.
I'll talk to you soon. I'll call you tomorrow.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you, brother.
You bet, brother. Bye-bye.
I love Rick. Local guy. Just if you want him on, you just call him and say, Rick, I need you on. He's going to be a regular guest. Guys, let me ask you a question. Hey, Dewey. Hey, Mama T.
Good evening.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you're good. Can you hear
I think
us?
you're on mute. I don't know how to use the computer to hear you guys. Hey, real quick though, light it up in the chat, guys. Rick has some spare time. Would you guys be interested in Rick maybe co-hosting every once in a while on the broadcast? Okay, I didn't have my earpiece in. That's why I couldn't hear you, ladies. And listen, I got a couple of
I was just getting ready to text you and tell you that you're probably needing an earpiece that's connected.
I got a couple of messages, nasty grams. Where are the girls? Why would you? I didn't know how. I was sitting here literally Googling how to do it. Guys, this is my first time on the computer. It's a whole different ball game looking at it from this angle. And there's a lot of buttons that I was afraid to push. Ladies, what do you think about Rick?
I
Yeah.
oh wait, they're saying they can't hear.
Can you guys hear us?
I can hear him, but I'm wondering if when he plugged in the earpiece, if it took out the
it was-
input.
the earpiece was plugged in the whole time. I just didn't have it in. Okay, they're saying they can't
Okay.
hear us, guys.
Oh, they can now. They can now.
Okay, I'm still seeing they can't hear.
You can't hear Mama T. Can you hear me?
No sound.
I can hear two of you. They can't hear you. Mama, maybe leave and come back.
Okay, I'm seeing a bunch of yeses now, so I think we're good. Guys,
They said they can hear you and I. They can't hear Mama.
give us a little grace here, guys. First time on this computer. I usually do it on the iPad. And I'll be honest with you, my iPad smoked itself last night. I think I blew it up. It got so hot, so it hasn't turned on very well today. So first time on the computer. Yeah, Dewey. Hold on, Rick's calling me. I'm going to take his call. real quick.
Okay, perfect. Can you guys hear her now? I can hear you. Can you hear me now? Okay, can you guys hear Mama? He is not. No, yeah. Hey, let me let one more guest in the box. You stay there and let me see if they can hear the other guest that comes up. Hey, hey, Ginger. You're going to be a test. Can anybody hear Ginger in the chat? Can you guys hear Ginger? Yes, they can hear her. Mama T, maybe see if you have an update. Oh no, wait, they're saying no. No, they can't. That is really strange. Do you guys have Apple devices? Ginger, what do you have? What kind of device? I bet you it's the device because I have an iPhone. Does anybody have an iPhone in here that can request up and be able to speak? Oh yeah, turn. Hey Kim. So people just need to go out and come back in? Oh no, when you join the box, you can hear. Yeah.
Does that make a difference with me turning my camera on?
Kim, what kind of device do you have?
Okay.
They both have Samsung. Oh wait, you guys can hear Kim, or you can't. Which one? Yes to Kim or no? Can you just say hey, 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 or something?
I'm seeing yes and no's.
When your camera is on Mama T, they can hear you.
Okay.
Can
you guys hear me with my
Can you
camera
guys
on now?
Can you guys flip your camera on? You don't have to show yourself, just kind of put your finger over it and see if they can hear you then. They hear you with the camera on.
Okay.
So probably with Studio, to be able to hear everybody, we're going to have to request that their camera be on to be able to speak.
Can you hear me? You know, that's weird though, Dewey, because I do Studio with my laptop and don't have any issues.
Strange. Hang on.
Hey, so sorry about the interruption, guys. I wanted to hook Rick up. I texted the producer over at Live Now with Fox. Don't you guys think Rick ought to be on TV also, given his talking points? Do you think
Yes.
he's that good?
I messaged you and said he's been my favorite guest so far.
I saw that.
So knowledgeable, and he needs a TikTok. So please, if he's in here and has a TikTok, let's find him. We can all follow him, get him started. I think it would be great.
A little old school. I can tell you he doesn't have TikTok, but I'm working on it. I want to get him in to co-host. If you guys let me know that I think I know the answer to this, family. Do the People's Crime Network want to hear more from Rick? You know, we can get him on a couple days a week whenever he's available. But would you like to hear more from him? I'm looking for a qualified co-host that I don't agree with all the time, but that we can maybe disagree sometimes. So Rick may be in the running. I'm getting a lot
I
of
think it would
yeses.
be neat to. I think it'd be neat to pick his brain on different cases that we cover.
Yeah.
And guys, my last name will open up for a few questions if you like, but I promise you guys, if I started this, I was going to do it 100%. I'm all in. It's take a lot of time to do these things. It takes a lot of time to talk people into coming on to be a guest sometimes. So here's the deal. I'm going to bring the A game. I mean, I'm bringing you guys the best of the best. And we're going to continue to grow this thing and let's see where we go. But I need your help, support, share the channel, and let's see if we can get this thing built up. And I've got a couple other crime scene people that are looking to come on next week.
Hello.
Going to be a female. You've seen her on a bunch of the news stations. She's an author and a professor, but she's told me she's coming on maybe next week, perhaps Friday night. So look for that, and I'll certainly tease it out when we get there. How are we looking, Dewey? We have any questions or comments?
So number one, if you guys are coming up to ask anything for this panel, for anybody to be able to hear you in the chat, you're going to have to turn your microphone on and your camera on. For some reason, that's the only way that it's working with the audio. So please, if you request up, make sure that you don't have to show us your face. You can put your finger over the camera, however you want to do it, but your camera will have to be on for us to be able to hear you.
I truly think he brought a lot to the table. He has some very valid points.
They're saying ask him to join the Discord.
I will see if I can get him to do that tomorrow.
He could be our lead detective.
I'm telling you, the guy's the real deal, guys. I mean, I think you all heard it. I mean, we've got the best of the best. Anyone disagree with anything Rick said? Do you guys agree with Rick said? Kind of give me some feedback in the chat. Do we maybe take a poll?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I could only...
While I'm getting that ready, how's everybody's night?
All right. Yeah, I'm seeing Frankie had some follow-up questions in there. Welcome, Frankie, back in. I saw that, Frankie. The chat's moving so fast, it's hard to see it. Yeah, I think we've got to get Rick back at least for this case, and because we're going to have more questions. Here's the bad thing about it. I spoke with a couple people at the network today. There's some news media that's talking about leaving. They're talking about packing up their tents, packing up their cameras, their live sticks, and leaving unless something breaks. So, are we going to lose media attention on this case? I hope not, because that keeps pressure on the sheriff. So let's see what happens with that. I'm concerned that if the media leaves, we're going to see less coverage. We have the live streamers out there, but in my opinion, we're nowhere near a cold case. But guys, for the lack of better words, it's almost like a circus out there, from what I understand.
We've been losing media attention. I have seen that. And somebody did say that the sheriff has asked some of the media to leave. Do you know if that's confirmed?
I spoke with a local Fox affiliate on that, and I'm going to go up and do a news hit on it tomorrow. The sheriff came out and has told a couple of people, News Nation was one of those victims, that you're not needed here. You're creating more problems than you're solving. We don't need the personal live streamers and the YouTubers and the et ceteras out here. You guys have to go because you're creating a nuisance. That came from Sheriff Nanos. So I felt that very disheartening. It's America's grandmother. And I'll tell you what, if I was out there, I would look the sheriff in the eye and I would say, not a chance, pal. First thing I would be doing is renting a lot at one of those neighbors, and I would be setting up a tent. So, let's hope the media rules over that and continues to provide the coverage, because the coverage is important in this case.
Let's see. If you guys remember, if you come up and you're requesting up, your camera has to be on for everybody to be able to hear you.
So there is a question in the chat, Jamie. Ico Dixon, and it says, do you think there is any kind of Mexico involvement in any way?
You know, if you listen to Rick Lallman, he just gave us a lot of his time, and I asked him that question. I'm like, Rick, is, you know, where you at with the cartels, Mexico, yada, yada, yada. Rick Lallman, who we just heard from, says he doesn't think there's any connection to Mexico. I think I may disagree with him a little bit, because you're going to have to vet that last demand letter out where you had an individual that said, hey, I think I may have seen her in Mexico. And, oh, by the way, they or them told me to keep quiet or shut up. So I don't know. Rick and I may disagree on that a little bit. Do I think she's there? We don't know. No one knows, but you certainly have to follow that up. I think it was yesterday afternoon, FBI actually flew a team to Mexico to get with the local federales to cover that and start that process. To answer that question a little bit further, Rick did indicate that if he was there on the ground, he would have sent a team to the Mexican country and certainly started asking questions in prisons and jails. Hey, who wears a ski mask when they do home invasion? So, and I think maybe I misread a little bit, Rick, what Rick said, but Rick thinks that she's very close to the house and not with us.
Yeah.
The only way you can talk, Frankie, and them to hear you is for you to turn your camera on. You do not have to put it on yourself, but you will have to turn your camera and your microphone on for anybody to come up in the box. I've said that a lot. Well, your camera is not on, so they can't hear you. Click your box and then click the camera and hit save.
Yeah, while we're getting Frankie situated, there's a comment in the chat. Didn't Brian from News Nation go to Mexico? Brian, I think, was in Mexico all day today. So,
yes.
You know, News Nation is all over this thing. Brian should get he should get an Emmy for what he's done on this case. Brian's in Mexico. I think he may have came back this evening, but I know he was there late last night and earlier today. So, at least one media outlet is following up in Mexico.
So Frankie does not have camera access. So the only thing I could do is maybe call you and let him talk through my phone to your phone to where they would be able to hear him, or we'll just have to drop him for the night.
Is there a setting that I can change here?
Oh, there we go. Can you turn your camera on? I sent you a request to turn your camera on. And you'll have to hit accept. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey,
Can you
Frankie.
guys hear him now?
Can you hear me, Jamie?
Yeah, Frankie, sorry about that. I'm using a computer for the first time, so give me some grace. We can hear and see you.
No worries. Yeah, where you're looking, I've just got you on my stomach here. I'm just laying in bed, and I got my camera facing down, so you're just looking at my T-shirt here. As long as you can hear me, I'm good.
No, I appreciate that. Sorry for the confusion. When I went in, it said that you didn't have camera access, and then I had to just push it, and it sent it to you. So thank you.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. I appreciate
What's
the
on your mind, Frankie?
opportunity. Well, just a couple of things, Mr. Copenhaver. I wanted to ask him, I wanted to kind of like put him on the spot just to see what his responses would have been. When they put the tent up in front of the door, and everyone was just freaking out that day. And then whatever it was, half hour later, they take the tent down. Do you believe they put that tent up to measure, to find out how tall Backpack Guy was?
Yes. Here's the deal.
You do?
I don't know if
Okay.
that's exactly what they were measuring, but I do believe that was That was absolutely what they were doing. They were measuring distance, and we even covered it on the live a couple nights ago. Um, I think they were measuring distance of that back stoop, the width of the door, the height of the door, and Frankie, that's an excellent point. So uh, you hit the nail on the head on that. So that's a very plausible idea. I wish we would have asked Rick that, but I think that's probably exactly what they were doing, based on they were only there for a short time and left. So it wasn't something major. It was a quick measurement, some photographs, and they're gone. So I think you hit a home run.
Well, I'll tell you why and with all due respect, Mr. Copenhaver, I'll tell you why they didn't put that tent up to measure the height, because it defies all common sense. Why put up the tent to hide that you're doing the measurements when they take down the tent and they release it immediately to the press that they're looking for someone that's 5'9" to 5'11"?
Plain
If you're going to tell the press, if you're going to tell the press as soon as you take the tent down, you're in essence, you're telling them, why put the tent up if you're going to tell them what the height of the gentleman is at the front door now? I think that is such a red herring, it's ridiculous. And then the other thing too is, and excuse me, the only other theory that I came up with today where the pinging of the pacemaker stopped is when she was unalived at Annie's. They drove her back to the house, and he intentionally put Backpack Dude on the camera. She was either A, in the trunk, and at that point when she's close enough with her phone to be at home, that is when it stopped pinging. But she was never in that house, and I don't believe that Backpack Dude ever went in that house. You already know that, though. I've been very strong about that. That was not the crime scene. I am so sure of it. I really wish, and the other thing too, Jamie, I want to add, my personal opinion, the most elite law enforcement agency in the world is never going to jeopardize their reputation and let Pima make a fool out of themselves like this. I'm telling you right now that everybody is playing coy. I truly believe in my heart of hearts, they know who did it. And I believe, to take it a step further, I believe they're in negotiations with Tomato to confess, but they cannot arrest him right now. And I'll tell you why. Because he's not going to tell you where the body's at if you arrest them now. They are trying to, this is the law enforcement shows that I've watched, every single one of them, it's been many, many years. You have to become your suspect's best friend.
Frankie, hold
Okay.
on for a minute.
Yes.
Stop the press. Love you like a brother. You've been loyal
Yep.
from day one, day two. You've
Yeah.
not missed a live. You've been in here hitting some home runs. I have to take issue with you, Frankie.
Okay.
How
Let
did
me
the
have
red-
it.
How did the red shiny stuff get on the patio, the front porch?
I think that's why he sent Backpack Guy there. I think it was, he either had an eyedropper and that's where there was eyedroppers. Because if you look at, and this is something that I kind of agreed with Mr. Rick on.
Frankie,
Like,
I'm rolling my eyes a little bit, but I'm going to listen to you because you always make sense.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Okay. If she was never in that house, there's only one explanation, and that the blood was put there, or the red stuff was put there. I'm sorry, the red stuff was put there
Okay.
to make it, because if you were going to make this, if the Backpack Guy was on the front porch, and I believe he was sent there as a diversionary tactic, you have to finish putting this crime together in your own sick mind by planting the blood there, because if in my mind, it's not complete without that. If he's just on the camera and there's no red stuff, it's not complete.
Frankie, I agree with you a little bit, right? Because we've talked about this.
Of course.
I had came up with my theory early on. I've changed it once or twice, but I haven't tweaked it recently. But
Yep.
I can't. There's no one in the chat that can really disagree with you because we just don't know what occurred. But I have to say,
Excuse me.
if it's a family, friend, or an associate, someone close to Nancy Guthrie, and you're trying to put out a red herring or a false flag or something other than, I mean, possible. I can't take that thought away from you, Frankie. I think you hit it on the head, my man.
Well, I tell you something. If there's ever been a case where where a prosecutor is going to have is going to be licking his chops or licking her chops, is if this is not a premeditation case, I don't know what is, because it all of the thought process that went into planning this is complete premeditation. Which,
Frankie, you're a smart guy. You know, I love you like a brother, right?
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. I love you. This has been enjoyable the last few nights.
I'm telling you right now, Frankie, I've done a lot of work for the defense after leaving the government. If I would ever be assigned to this in the defense team, your guy may end up walking. There's a lot of mistakes that's happened in this thing, Frankie.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing too. I wanted to bring this up to you earlier. I agree with you 100%. There has been, like I said, it's been Keystone Cops from day one. However, once the FBI got involved, I think they're using Sheriff Nanos now to just keep the scent away from the family while they're in negotiations with them to try to find the body before, tell them where the body's at before you make that arrest. Because I'll tell you what, you make that arrest, he may not tell you where that body's at, and that's the last thing they want. Especially you hear Savannah's pleas and her petitioning the person that she's telling you're not alone. That is a personalized message. Okay,
Frankie,
you don't use those words.
You bring the heat, the fire when you come on here. You're not shy. You're not bashful, guys. Got to give Frankie a little extra time, and I'm going to tell you why. We are overwhelmed with the grace. Frankie, we're lucky. We have a bunch of smart women in this community. I mean, Frankie, a lot of smart women, and we have a handful of guys, right? You and Brian, I always want to acknowledge you guys for being here. We don't have a lot of guys. I wish we had more guys. But Frankie, I have to give you a little time when you come on because I just like you representing the guys, right? But we've got a lot of smart cyber sleuth women here, Frankie. So it's a tough crowd. But thank you, Frankie, for always being here and bringing fire. I appreciate you.
Well, and I appreciate you acknowledging that, and thank you so much. I mean, it means a lot to me that someone that has the expertise level like yourself that would actually feel that. Because again, I make my money in a conventional way. I'm a sales guy, okay. But I will tell you right now, I get very little sleep these days. I have done more research than just about anybody on this call. I can assure you.
Yeah. Few people agreeing with you, Frankie. Few people disagreeing, and that's okay, right? That's why we have the family. That's why we have the People's Crime Network. Yeah. Frankie, thank you. We're going to go to the next caller.
You're welcome. All righty. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
And guys, I'm sorry about popping this live on. It was a last minute thing. I did not want to take a chance on not hearing from Rick Lamont tonight. He couldn't have done it tomorrow. So, surprise, we're live again, Dewey and Mama T.
I'm sorry, Jamie. What did you say?
I said, surprise, we're live again. Who's next?
I know.
I think we're going to go to Nana. And remember, you guys, to come up in the box, you guys are going to have to turn your camera on and your microphones and then
Nana,
hit save.
Hello, Jamie. I've been with you since your first live. I love that you brought Rick in because Rick answered a lot of the holes. You know, he hit on the sheriff. He hit on the crime scene being open to whoever wants to walk into it. He hit on the major parts that needs to be hit on. And I'm going to give my theory because I've been watching this from day one. I'm like Rick. She's not with us. She was a very sick woman. She could not live on this earth without her medications this long.
Yeah, I mean,
but I also want to say
real quick. I mean, let's not lose the fact while we're here, guys. And Nana brings up a great point. Can we light up the chat with yellow hearts? Light the chat up with yellow hearts, please. It's America's grandmother. And I pray she's somewhere being held. But I've got to tell you, we're at day 19. I don't like it. So I tend to agree with you.
And then you wanna ask the other ultimate question, because if it my mother, my feet would be on the ground everywhere. I don't care if I'm famous, not famous. If that's my mother missing, there's not going to be a stone, a rock, nothing. I would be digging up cactuses if that's what I had to do. I think that's a little weird, especially since she's an elderly woman. Why hasn't the family? Yeah, they say they've cleared them, but why ain't they got their boots on the ground?
You know,
And I'm going to end with this. I'm going to end with this. And may God have my voice. If this woman comes out alive, I would hug and squeeze and never let her out of my sight ever again.
yeah,
She wouldn't go to the bathroom by herself. She wouldn't be nothing.
I mean, thank you for that, Nan. And I appreciate the follow. I remember you from the first one. There's some goats in here. Greatest of all time. And I appreciate you for doing that and saying that. That means a lot to me. I'm humbled that you would stick around like this, right? Before we go to the next caller, I mean, we hope she's here. And guys, I'm telling you, go to the grocery store and just listen to the conversations. You're going to find a Nancy Guthrie conversation. It's America's grandmother. And, that's how we started this community. That's why we built this community is off of Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping. And so, we all wish and pray that she comes back safe and alive. And we'll see what happens. But Godspeed to the law enforcement. We've got to hold them up. And as much as we are critical, we've got to be supportive too. So who's next, Dewey?
I believe Skip is next. And again, you will have to turn your camera on and your microphone on. There you go. Thank you.
Hi, Skip.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, everyone. How are you tonight? You hear me okay?
Hear you loud and
Yeah.
clear,
Hi.
sister.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, cool. My name's Grace. Oh, cool. Thanks for having me again. My name is Grace. I'm in Connecticut. I spoke last time I was up on the live about the hunch I had, and I wanted to kind of add to that. I thought that there was someone involved that was family related, distant family related, with possible mental illness, that did something that went too far. And I can't help but agree with Rick tonight, where he was saying that, it's highly unlikely after so much time has passed that, our America's grandmother would be, still here. I really hope that she is. I really do. But lots of things are flowing around in my mind, and I wanted to kind of put it out there. I have a couple of questions, Jamie, and I hope you're okay if I ask. First of all, with law enforcement and investigation, what kind of validity does psychics have in these types of cases? Do you guys work with psychics closely? And what would that entail? What kind of person would that take to get involved in a
I'm
case?
going to get that answer for you, and I want to get it if Rick will allow us to call him. I want to ask him that question. That was in my notes to ask, and I have my answer, in my opinion. But can we see if we can get Rick on the line?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Because I think that's an excellent question. We know that the psychics come out galore in these cases, and let's ask Rick. We can move on in the meantime until he gets my message. But my opinion on that, I personally don't. I may upset a few people. I don't put a lot of faith in psychics, and I'll tell you why. I've arrested a lot of psychics for fraud. I don't know how many people
Right.
I put in jail that have taken hundreds of thousands of dollars from people, right? So, are they gifts? Yeah, of course they are. Could they be some legit ones? I've not met one really yet. So I'm going to reserve my answer on that one. I want to hear from Rick if he's ever worked with a psychic, right? That's more important. But a lot of people do believe in that. A lot of people believe in the gifts. In no way, shape, or form am I saying it's not real, but I've just not really worked with any true psychics. That's my answer, guys. Hope I don't make anyone mad, but that's the truth.
Yeah, interesting. Just recently, I follow the very popular psychic John Edwards, and he just recently wrote a book and was very recently released on cases that he worked with an investigator to help solve. Very well known cases. And I thought that was super interesting. But the reason that I had asked is because I had heard some awful social media today regarding very insensitive psychics, putting their ideas out there. And I just wanted to ask that. The other thing I wanted to ask about was the sheriff. I saw an interview on Megyn Kelly today where they ran a clip on how he has been doing interviews that are very, very overly emotional, crying. And is that usually protocol for a sheriff to behave in that manner while being interviewed? And why would he be interviewing individually or not running press conferences?
Here's the deal on that. I've said it may be a tactic. The sheriff may be sandbagging us. He may know the truth. They may be hot on their trail, and he's just putting on a show or an act, right? In terms of crying,
Yeah.
I've worked for a number of leaders, sheriffs, directors, had an assistant director at the FBI that cried, but only if it's a fellow officer, right? Once in a while, if it's a underage, minor child, you may see the emotions come out, but I personally think that the sheriff is exhibiting super bizarre behavior to the point where I said this on Fox News Live. How dare this sheriff in Peanut County do a news interview with softball questions, I may add, and say the following: just please bring her back. Please return her. I got it. We all want to return, but that's not something a leader should say in that manner, in that tone. You don't beg the bad guy, right? So I get a little emotional and passionate about that. And I hope you agree with that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I personally agree with that. I feel like it's overstepping boundaries of professionalism. He's kind of crossing the line. I get it's an upsetting case. People are upset. Hundreds of thousands of people across America are really, got their ear to the wall, wanting to or however that saying goes. They just want to know, what exactly happened here. But I am leaning in the direction of what Rick was saying earlier. With my gut instincts, is that
Hold on, I'm going to interrupt you.
Yes, sure.
Rick, I was told if I didn't call you back that every viewer would go to another platform. So I'm calling you back. They come first. Can I put you on one more time? I have one question. By the way, Rick, while I'm doing this, my job is not secure because I think they're about to vote me out and vote you in. Hey, Rick.
We voted for you to get TikTok.
Go ahead.
Here's the question, and I meant to ask you this, and I didn't. Forgive me for calling you back. I know you're busy. The question in the chat, we have Grace up on the box. She's asking a question. Do law enforcement routinely work with psychics?
We have in the past.
How much do you put into them? Do you vet these psychics out? Because there are a lot out there that are I put a couple in jail for fraud, but are they legit psychics?
Well, I mean, sometimes they can give you leads that you didn't think about, and then you take that. I mean, anybody that contacts you with anything, you'll take that lead and you'll try to affirm it or deny it, and it's actually, you're just getting the public involved in the job, and you're getting some positive press out of it at least. But I wouldn't discount anything. I mean, there's people that have I've known in the past, not personally, but cases in the past where a psychic has been useful to the investigation. And I wouldn't discount that. If somebody wants to come and say, hey, I'm a psychic and I see this, that, and the other, okay, maybe it's something I haven't thought about. Let's look into it. I mean, in homicide work, you don't want to discount anything. You want to follow all the leads that you can generate or people can generate for you, because at some point you got to think about big picture, not only just the prosecution phase, but the defense phase of it. And you got to say that you tracked every lead and you came to this conclusion, period, the end.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever had a case or any case studies, any training? Let's say that this psychic calls in and you meet with them. They provide vital information. Let's say they lead you to the body. Are you going to document them and document them in a statement? Do they give a statement? Are they public at that point? Are they part of the investigation?
Yep. Oh, yeah, they have to be. They have to be.
So what would happen? Just curious. I'm going to throw it out there. The chat's not asking. I'm asking. But if you had one of these individuals that came forward and you actually hit gold, hit a home run off their information, what would happen in court if the defense would are they going to attack it? Are they going to?
Well, in a homicide case, they're going to attack everything that you brought forward in the prosecution. So you got to expect that, and you got to explain that to the psychic that, hey, I've got to list you as a witness now, and obviously I'm going to look into them and make sure that they're not involved in the case. And they're not some kind of a fake psychic, but they are a legitimate psychic person. And say, hey, you're going to get attacked on the stand, and they're going to determine if you could be labeled as an expert witness.
All right.
So they've got to testify, because that's a lead that you followed to get from point A to point B. You have to do it.
So everything would be documented. They would be part of the process. They're going to be deposed and possibly testify in court.
Absolutely. Anybody that has anything, gives you any information in the case that's relative to the finding, they're going to be listed as a witness, period. And then the prosecutor and the defense are going to have to weigh their testimony at deposition as to whatever they say is either credible or not worth, because witnesses are classified as A, B, C, and D witnesses. And obviously if it's a psychic and you find somebody based on their vision, that they saw something or they feel that this is there, they're going to be an A witness. That's the top of the line witness. A D witness is a guy that went out and put crime scene tape up, never went in the scene, just put up crime scene tape.
Last question, Lamont. I'm going to let you go because I know you go to bed early. You're retired. I just saw something in the chat, Rick. Dewey, how many people? Where are we at with the number so Rick will know what we're doing here?
We have 955 people and 591,000 likes.
Rick, there are 591,000 likes, and
No.
How many people in the chat currently?
952.
So you're talking to around 1,000 people that are active on the live stream here. So you're getting
Cool.
popular, bro.
Cool.
Um,
Hey, maybe we can get me a spot on Fox News or something, telling these people this stuff.
We need you to download TikTok first, and then we'll work on your spot.
Rick, they're talking in my ear.
Exactly.
They're yelling at me. Get Rick on the platform. I'm gonna call Rick tomorrow, family, and Rick and I are going to talk and see if I can get Rick to be more regular. And Rick, I think you like this. You love answering questions and sharing your trade.
Yeah, I mean, that was my vocation, man. And I there's some jobs, that like they say, if you truly loved what you did, you never work a day in your life, and that's the kind of the way I felt about it. And I used to tell people that we're the guardian angel for the dead. We're the ones that speak for the dead, And as long as an investigator goes in with that mindset, that it's not just a job, it's a calling, and you're going in there to tell the story for those that can't tell. Because really there's only 2 people or maybe 3 people that know what happened, and one of them's dead. So somebody's got to speak for that person.
Kathy in the chat, let me just share this with you, Ricky. Kathy in the chat says, I can hear that in your voice. Thank you. So, I mean, bro, you're bringing the fire. These people love you, Rick, and I appreciate you. I'm glad you're my friend. I'm glad you're not investigating me.
Oh, I appreciate it, Jamie. We've been around together for a long time, so we know how this system works. And the sad part is, we see, we can sit back and armchair quarterback what's going wrong and what's going right. Yeah. And I'd love to see that everything that I talked about tonight, was being done differently. But that's people that are committed to the job, and some that are just looking at it as, okay, I'm here to make overtime. So that's the sad part.
All right, last thing, I'm going to let you go because I know you're busy. I did a poll after you got off air, and it was an overwhelming vote in your favor that they agreed with everything you said, and they want you back. So I'll call you tomorrow, Rick. We're going to talk.
Anytime, brother. I'm up in my cabin in Blue Ridge right now, so I'm sitting around just looking at the mountains.
Makes
Party
me
at
We're
Rick's
happy.
on, we're on our way.
They're on their way, Rick. Open the door.
Beautiful.
Have breakfast done because the whole crew's coming to your house. Rick Lolomet, thank you so much.
No problem, brother.
All right, brother. Love you. Bye. All right, guys. I just wanted to get him on about the psychic thing. See, he and I sort of disagreed, but I wasn't in homicide. So there's your answer from Rick Lamont.
That was very cool. That was so interesting, that response. And I have one more thing I want to ask, and then I'll end. And I appreciate you. Thanks for having me up in the box, because I just find this so fascinating. What do you think will happen now with Savannah? Do you believe that she'll go back to work at some point? I mean, in my gut, and my instinct is telling me she probably won't return to work. But I guess, who knows what will happen with the outcome of the case if they find her mom or they don't. I mean, it could lean in one direction or the other.
A lot of people in the chat have indicated no, that she won't. I personally think I think she'll do something. I mean, she's very talented, very educated, very well spoken. Here's what she may take a look at. And I'm only forecasting. Maybe she's going to come out and speak in behalf of the victims. We may see.
Yeah, I kind
like
of
that.
agree with you there, Jamie. I feel like she might be leaning in that direction eventually, in time.
Yeah.
I just continue to kind of throw that yellow ribbon out there, and, hopefully that it won't be what we all, are leaning into.
Yeah. Thank you.
All
thank
right.
you.
Thanks so much.
Listen,
Great
Grace,
picking
I
up.
remember you from my first live stream. I was super nervous on the first one. I could do the news with my eyes closed, but I'm nervous on this platform. I'm still nervous, but I remember you. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm so humbled that you're back and you stay here. So thank you. Thank you. You're part of the family.
You
Thank
are
you so much.
welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much.
Yes, ma'am. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Isn't it like talking to your family? Good night. Bye.
Yep.
Yes.
They become family after a while, for sure.
I believe that Crystal, you are next. And again, you'll have to turn your microphone on and your camera.
Hey, Crystal.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Where are you from?
Okay. I am actually from Tucson, Arizona.
Perfect. Let's hear it from you.
So, ever since the case has started, Miss Nancy going missing and everything, I live in about 35 minutes away from where Miss Nancy's home is. And even with I'm on the outskirts of Tucson, so I'm in a little town called Picture Rocks. And the police presence has been so much heavier in the area with just what seems to be just regular stops. But there's also been a few chases that is not normal for the area. one of my biggest questions, because my mother, she took forensics criminology school. I'm at a loss for words. But I would go to class with her. And one of the main things that I learned was to shut the scene down and look for things such as footprints, things that are out of the ordinary. My main question is like, why did the police not think of that in any aspect, it seems?
Well, I think they did. If you go back to that day one, they in fact had crime scene tape up. They were present. They were doing the crime scene investigation, processing whatever they could. If you listen to Rick, the homicide guru, I mean, they released it way too soon. Rick had indicated
Yeah.
that he's kept crime scenes for 2 or 3 weeks. So, yeah, I mean, I think it was, I don't, I had a little disagreement with Rick, and that's why I wanted to bring him back. Rick and I sound off of one another. And I'm going to disagree with Rick. He's not here to defend himself, but Rick indicates that these detectives could possibly getting pressure from supervisors or even the sheriff himself. So maybe perhaps the sheriff himself said, "Hey, it's a famous person. You guys need to wrap it up and get out of her home and respect the family." I'm forecasting, but I could see based on
Yeah.
what the sheriff has done so far is possibly like it. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Is the sheriff liked in Tucson and Pima County? Do you know anything about him? Or do the people like him? He's been elected for a long time.
So it's kind of hit and miss around the area. The last time the elections was around, he was under investigation. I didn't look too much into that, because the politics out here are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people saying, "Oh, they're gonna favor a lot of bad stuff. They're gonna do this. They're gonna do that," and then there's no proof behind the pudding. So it's hit and miss. There's a good community that does side with him, that does back him, but there's also a good portion of the community like, get this guy out of here. He was under investigation. Why is he here?
Yep.
So
I saw a few